I stared at the security feed on my office monitor. The Arizona sun casting long shadows across the desert landscape outside my window. There they were, my so-called family, standing at the iron gates of my Scottsdale estate like ghosts from a nightmare I'd tried to outrun. 12 years had passed since they'd cut me loose. And now, at 35, as CEO of Sentinel Tech, a cybersecurity powerhouse worth billions, they'd shown up unannounced. My heart pounded, not with fear, but with a raw ache I'd buried deep. Why now? What did they want from the life I'd scraped together without them? I zoomed in on their faces. Dad, Robert Carter, looked weathered. His once sturdy frame hunched under the weight of whatever had brought them here.
Mom.
Martha clutched her purse like it was the last thread of dignity she had left. My older brother, Dylan, shifted uneasily, his eyes darting around as if expecting rejection at any second. And Rachel, my sister, with her perfectly styled hair, couldn't hide the desperation etching lines around her mouth. They whispered among themselves, glancing up at the cameras. Did they sense I was watching? That I'd been steeling myself for a moment like this since the day they turned their backs? The intercom buzzed. Melanie? Honey, it's us.
We
need to talk. Mom's voice cracked, that old endearment hitting me like a slap. Honey? She hadn't called me that since I was a kid, back when her affection felt like something I had to earn. I pressed the button, my voice steady despite the storm inside. The Melanie you knew doesn't live here anymore. Silence stretched. Then Dad's gruff tone. Please. We've driven all the way from Cheyenne. Just a few minutes. A few minutes. After 12 years of radio silence. Of me building an empire from scraps while they carried on like I'd never existed. I thought of the sapphire necklace around my neck. Grandma Grace's final gift. Its cool weight a reminder that someone had once seen my worth. My mind raced. Should I let them in? Part of me screamed to slam the door forever. But another part, quieter, whispered questions I'd never voiced. What if this was my chance to face the void they'd left in me? Growing up in Cheyenne, Wyoming, our family home was a modest ranch-style house on the outskirts, with sagebrush fields stretching out like an endless reminder of isolation. From the outside, we were the picture of small-town Americana, Dad working as a mechanical engineer for the local oil company, Mom teaching elementary school, hosting barbecues where neighbors swapped stories under the big sky. But inside, I was always the outsider, the one who didn't quite fit the frame. Dylan, 6 years my senior, was the golden boy, the high school quarterback who led the team to state championships, his trophies gleaming on the mantle like badges of honor. Rachel, for years older, was the darling, with her angelic voice in the church choir and beauty pageant wins that had the whole town buzzing.
Me?
I was the afterthought. My straight-A report cards got a pat on the head, while Dylan's B in math sparked family strategy sessions. You're so independent, Melanie, Mom would say, as if it excused forgetting my science fair or skipping my piano recitals for Rachel's rehearsals. I remember my 13th birthday like a fresh wound. I'd hoped for something simple, a cake, maybe a trip to the Natural History Museum in Denver. Instead, I woke to an empty kitchen.
No balloons.
No happy birthday chorus. Mom was on the phone, planning Rachel's Sweet 16. Grab some cereal, dear, she said absently. That night, I microwaved a frozen dinner alone while they fussed over Dylan's sprained ankle from practice. Only Grandma Grace called, her voice warm over the line, singing off-key but full of love. You're my shining star, kiddo. Her words were the only light in that darkness. But even then, I felt the ache. Why wasn't I enough for them? The comparisons gnawed at me constantly. Why can't you be more outgoing like Rachel? Dylan never complains. Every dinner table conversation revolved around their triumphs, leaving me silent, questioning if I was invisible. When I joined the robotics club, they forgot to sign the forms for competitions. Rides to academic meets? I hitched with friends or took the bus, while Dad taught Dylan to drive the family truck. My internal world became a battlefield. Did I deserve this? Was I flawed? Unlovable? Books and code became my refuge. Logic didn't play favorites. By high school, the neglect had hardened into resentment. Teachers noticed, Mrs. Larson in AP Comp Sci pulled me aside once, asking if home was okay after I dozed off in class from late-night coding sessions.
Ai fine, I lead.
Because admitting the truth felt like defeat. Who wants to say their family loves the others more? Senior year, I got into Stanford on a full ride, but I didn't share it at dinner. Dylan's engagement and Rachel's Juilliard acceptance stole the spotlight anyway. The night before I left for California, Grandma Grace slipped into my room. You're destined for big things, Melanie. Don't let their shadows dim you. She was the only one who saw the emotional erosion, the way their indifference chipped away at my soul until I doubted my own existence. I left Cheyenne with one bag and no goodbyes. They were too wrapped up in wedding plans to notice. Stanford was a revelation. In the heart of Silicon Valley, my ideas mattered. Professors praised my algorithms. Peers collaborated without judgment. For the first time, I breathed freely.
Then,
at 22, weeks from graduation, the call came. Grandma Grace had passed in her sleep. I flew back to Cheyenne, heart heavy, wearing a thrift store black dress. The funeral was packed. Grace's kindness had touched everyone. Sitting in the pew, I felt unmoored. She'd been my only true anchor. The will reading was in a dusty law office. The family gathered, Dylan with his wife, Rachel engaged, parents stoic. I expected nothing. Grace had given most to charity. But the lawyer paused at my name. To my granddaughter Melanie Carter, I leave my sapphire necklace, a family heirloom, and this letter. The room tensed. That necklace, worth a fortune, had been Rachel's dream since childhood. She'd worn it to prom. Mom snapped. That can't be right. The lawyer read on. Dearest Melanie, you've been kept in the dark about your origins. You're not biologically their child. Born to my daughter's friend who died in childbirth. No family to claim you. Robert and Martha adopted you. But they've treated you as a burden, not a blessing. I've watched them favor their own while you scraped for love. This is my regret. I couldn't intervene more. The words shattered me. Not theirs by blood. It explained everything, the coldness, the exclusion. I looked at them. Mom paled. Dad stiffened. The letter continued. The necklace is yours because you're the truest Carter, resilient,
kind.
Build your own path, you're worthy. Rachel laughed bitterly. So she's not even family. And she gets it. We took her in out of charity, she spat. I stood, voice trembling. Charity? You raised me on scraps while pouring love on your real kids. We gave you everything, Mom protested. No, you gave the bare minimum. Made me feel defective. Dad dismissed. You're overreacting. But I was done. Grabbing the necklace, I walked out. I'm an orphan now. Always have been. That was the last I saw them for 12 years, until now. At my gate. Their desperation pulling old wounds wide open.
Inside,
I wrestled. Forgiveness or finality. The pain surged. But so did a flicker of pity. What had broken them to this? As I paced my office, the desert breeze rattling the windows, Memories flooded back with sharper edges, each one slicing deeper into the unresolved hurt. Letting them in felt like inviting poison. But ignoring them? That would leave the questions festering. Why me? Why never enough? My assistant, Jamie, knocked softly. MS. Carter. They're still at the gate. Shall I send them away? I hesitated, my mind a whirlwind of doubt and defiance.
No.
Let them in. But keep security close. The walk to the foyer was agony, each step echoing the internal chaos. What if they saw my success and still dismissed it? What if their pleas cracked the armor I'd built? I smoothed my tailored suit, the one I'd bought after my first big deal, and opened the door. They filed in, eyes widening at the vaulted ceilings and modern art lining the walls. The estate, perched on the edge of the Sonoran Desert, was my sanctuary, bought with blood,
Sweat.
and code.
Now.
It felt invaded. We sat in the living room, the vast space amplifying the awkward silence. Dad cleared his throat. Melanie, you've done well for yourself. This place, it's impressive. Compliments? From him? It stirred a bitter swirl inside. Too little. Too late. Cut to the chase, I said, my voice edged with the pain I couldn't fully mask. Why are you here after all this time? Mom's eyes welled. We're in trouble. Honey. The family business, Carter Engineering, it's bankrupt. Medical bills. Bad investments. We're losing the house. Dylan nodded, his face etched with shame. I tried to turn it around, but the market shifted. We need help, Rachel added softly. And Dad's heart, the stress is killing him. Their words hit like stones, awakening the child in me who yearned for their care. But beneath it, rage simmered. Where was this vulnerability when I needed them? I leaned back, forcing calm while my thoughts raced. Help. After they'd legally disowned me in Wyoming court papers to simplify their estate, I'd found out years later, through public records, no fanfare. Just a quiet filing that erased me. You want money, I stated flatly. Dad shifted. An investment. $3 million to reboot. We've got a plan. Dylan has contacts in renewable energy. Rachel's ex has distribution ties. Rachel chimed in. We could partner with Sentinel Tech. Keep it in the family.
Family.
The word twisted in my gut, unleashing a torrent of inner turmoil. Was this redemption or opportunism? I picture the nights in my first San Francisco shoebox apartment after Stanford.
Idechas a startups.
But the move to Arizona for Sentinel's HQ had been my leap. Sleeping on a futon.
Coding till dawn.
Doubting every line because their voices echoed. You're not like us. Success hadn't silenced them. It amplified the loneliness. And if I say no? I asked, probing the depths of their desperation. Rachel's mask cracked. Please, Melanie. For the kids, your nieces and nephews. They're innocent. The mention of them stirred something softer. A pang for the family I might have had. But doubt clawed back. Were they here for blood ties or my bank account? I excused myself to the patio, the desert heat mirroring my inner fire. Staring at the cacti silhouettes, I wrestled, forgive and risk more hurt, or reject and carry the guilt. Grandma Grace's letter haunted me. Build your own. But what if building included bridges? They waited when I returned, hope flickering. I'll think on it, I said. 24 hours. There's a motel in town. As they left, Rachel whispered, that necklace. Grandma's sapphire. It should have been mine. I touched it, the stone warm against my skin. She gave it to the one she saw as worthy. Alone. The emotions crashed harder. Regret for lost years. anger at their audacity, a fragile hope for healing. Why did their pain echo mine so deeply? That night, sleep evaded me. I wandered the estate, memories assaulting like sandstorms. After the will, I'd fled back to California with Grace's $7,000 and the necklace, pawning resolve to survive. San Francisco was brutal, tech bros in cafes, me slinging coffee at Bite Brew, tips funding late-night hacks. My apartment was a shared dump in the Mission. Roaches my only company. You're nothing without us, their imagined voices taunted as I built my first app, a basic security tool that caught an investor's eye. Lucas Monroe, my mentor, saw potential. Kid, you've got fire. His seed money launched Sentinel in a Phoenix warehouse, Western grit fueling innovation. We revolutionized data protection, contracts pouring in from banks to governments. But success was hollow. Boardroom wins couldn't fill the family-shaped void. Friends like Evelyn, my professor-turned-advisor, became kin. Blood doesn't define worth, she'd say.
Yet.
Here I was, their return ripping open scars, forcing me to question, am I strong enough to extend grace? Or will it break me? By dawn, the internal storm peaked. I reviewed their plan, sloppy, reliant on old oil ties in a green energy world. Legally, it was sound, but ethically, they wanted my empire scraps without earning trust. A text from Tyler.
Rachel und Melanie?
Heard about the visit. Mom's upset. Just wanted to say, I admire what you've built. His words pierced, innocence amid the mess. Perhaps the lesson wasn't revenge, but redemption through the next generation. They returned at noon, faces drawn. I led them to the conference room, projecting photos, their holidays without me, my solo milestones. You erased me, I said, voice thick with unshed tears. Now you want in? Dad bowed his head. We were wrong. Scared of the truth. Mom sobbed. We love you. In our way.
Love?
It ignited fury and sorrow intertwined. Your way left me shattered. The conference room air thickened with unspoken regrets. My pulse thundering as I faced them. Every fiber screamed to unleash the pent-up fury. But deeper, a weary empathy stirred. Were they victims of their own flaws? Just as I'd been? Show me the plan again, I demanded, masking the turmoil. Dad slid the folder over, his hands shaking. It was detailed, rebooting Carter Engineering into solar tech, leveraging Wyoming's windswept plains. Legally vetted by a Cheyenne firm. No red flags, but the emotional loopholes gaped wide. As they explained, my mind fractured into debates. Help and risk betrayal, refuse, and perpetuate the cycle of pain. Rachel's eyes pleaded. We could have been better. But life's beaten us down. Beaten down? The irony burned. I'd been the one discarded. Yet here they sat, expecting salvation. You adopted me legally, I said, voice cracking. Filed papers, made promises. Then ghosted when the truth surfaced. Dylan winced. We were ashamed. Not of you, of failing. Ashamed. The word unlocked a floodgate of inner anguish. All those years, I'd internalized it as my fault. Too smart. Too quiet. Too much. Nights in Phoenix. Staring at ceiling fans. Whispering, why wasn't I wanted? Success at Sentinel. Billions in valuation. Teams across Seattle and Denver had armored me, but their presence stripped it bare. Evelyn texted, you okay? Need backup. Her concern warmed the chill, reminding me of chosen bonds. I stood, pacing. What if I invest, but on terms? Hope lit their faces. The kids get trusts, education, internships here at Sentinel. They learn work ethic, empathy, volunteering in desert communities. Mom nodded eagerly. And us? The question hung, heavy with my unresolved grief.
Inside.
I battled. Mercy felt like weakness. But holding grudges? That was their poison. Not mine. Flashbacks intensified the storm. Post-Stanford. I'd bootstrapped in Arizona's heat, coding in cafes while dodging eviction. First breakthrough, a breach detection algorithm that landed a DoD contract. Headlines called me the desert disruptor, but alone in my trailer. Tears came. Why celebrate without family? Lucas pulled me through. Forge your path.
Now. Facin.
The pain evolved into profound sorrow for what we'd all lost. Terms for you, I continued. Throat tight. Dad. Medical coverage through my foundation, heart specialists in Phoenix. His eyes misted. But the business? You work for it. Start small.
Prove viability. No handouts.
Rachel bristled. That's control.
No, ikuntet.
Emotion surging. It's fairness. What you denied me. The room fell silent, my heart aching with the weight of potential healing. That evening, alone under the stars, the internal reckoning deepened. Their visit had unearthed layers, not just anger, but profound loneliness. Grandma's necklace gleamed, her words echoing, "You're worthy." Worthy of what? Forgiving those who'd shattered me? A call from Tyler. And Mel. Thanks for considering. Family should stick. Right? His innocence amplified the ache. Perhaps the lesson was in mending, not severing. They agreed the next day. Papers signed with Arizona notaries for clarity. As they left, Mom hugged me tentatively. We're sorry. The contact unleashed tears I'd held for years, sorrow for the girl I'd been, pity for their brokenness.
Inside.
Peace flickered, fragile but real. The drama wasn't over, but the revenge I'd once craved dissolved into something humane, growth through grace. With the agreements inked, a heavy quiet settled, but my soul roared louder than ever, waves of relief crashing against lingering betrayal. Had I betrayed myself by yielding? Or was this the ultimate victory? Rising above their level, Dad gripped my hand. Thank you, Melanie. This means everything. His gratitude pierced, stirring a vortex of empathy and resentment. I'd given ground, but the emotional toll mounted. Each concession reopening wounds I'd thought scarred. As they drove off, I collapsed in the garden, the desert sunset bathing me in gold. Internally, the conflict raged fiercer. You're weak, one voice accused. No. Compassionate, another countered. Memories assaulted Cheyenne winters. Me alone in my room while laughter echoed from family game nights. Why exclude me? I'd whisper to the walls.
Now.
Extending olive branches felt like honoring Grace's wish. But the cost? My hard-won independence. Tyler visited weeks later, his siblings in tow. Watching them explore Sentinel's labs, wide-eyed, ignited a profound joy mingled with ache. This was the family I'd dreamed of. But why through pain? You're cool. Aunt Mel, Tyler said. His words healed fractions, yet amplified the void from my own youth. Nights brought dreams of reconciliation. Waking to tears, emotions heavier, raw, demanding resolution. The business reboot tested us. Dylan reported progress. I monitored remotely, offering guidance without coddling. Mom's calls came, tentative at first, sharing stories. We missed so much, she admitted once. Her vulnerability cracked my defenses, unleashing sorrow for lost time.
Inside.
I grieved the what-ifs. A childhood with love, not scraps. But forgiveness bloomed, slow and thorny, teaching that healing hurts before it helps. Rachel's resistance peaked during a video call. You're still punishing us. Her accusation fueled inner fire. Punishing? After their abandonment? Yet. Pity overwhelmed. She was trapped in entitlement I'd escaped.
No, irra Plea.
Voice thick. I'm teaching growth. The exchange left me drained, emotions cresting in waves of catharsis. Months blurred into a tapestry of transformation, each day layering heavier emotions, from tentative hope to overwhelming catharsis. Sentinel thrived, but the real revolution was personal. Family gatherings, awkward at first, evolved into genuine connections. Dad's health improved. Mom's stories revealed her own regrets, humanizing the monsters of my past.
Inside.
The turmoil peaked, joy at bonds forming, mingled with grief for irretrievable years. Tyler's coding sessions became rituals, his enthusiasm mirroring my young hunger. You inspire me, he said, unleashing floods of validation I'd craved. Siblings joined, their laughter filling my estate, a stark contrast to my isolated youth. Yet, nights brought profound introspection. Was this enough? The sapphire necklace symbolized not just heritage, but resilience forged in fire. The climax came at a desert retreat I hosted. Around a fire pit, truths poured, Dylan's apologies, Rachel's tears. We were blind, Dad admitted. My response, choked with emotion. I forgive, for me, not you. The release was seismic, pain transmuting into peace. The light lesson crystallized. Family isn't blood, but choices that nurture souls. In choosing mercy, I'd freed us all, building a legacy of love from ashes.